welcome to the Rundown Presents the Greatest NFL Team Ever tournament. We started off with 64 teams. We are down to the Elite Eight. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson. I am joined by my Rundown crew, Brandon Blakney in the house, Hot Rod Funderburk in the house, and I told him when this started way back in, I think April, we started this with 64 teams, and we're already heading into August here with the final two shows. That they were going to be the two that did the Elite Eight and the Final Four. Shout out to Four Man Rush, who were on last week and decided half the Elite Eight. Shout out to B-Dot over at 102. Shout out to Chris Lee at WRIL. They've been on the past couple of weeks as well. Just everybody just contributed to this experiment over the past couple of months. But guys, you two have a tough task ahead, because I was looking at these brackets, and these are no joke. And only thing we can really do is just get in it. So I'm just going to just get started here. And we start off, none of these brackets are easy. So we start off in the Steelers region. For those that don't know how this game is played, you can go back and watch these episodes on the Sports Calendar Monthly YouTube channel or on Facebook Watch. Just look up Sports Calendar Monthly, greatest NFL team ever, and all the episodes will start pulling up for you. We went through 64 teams, 16 seeds, just like the NCAA tournament, and they were seeded based off of who was better than others. We had about 50-plus Super Bowl winners, and then a handful of at-large teams that did not win the Super Bowl the year they played that we're talking about them in, but probably should have. Out of those, only one at-large team has made it to the Elite Eight, and we're going to talk about them in just a minute. If you are the higher seed, you have home field advantage, meaning that the game that we're talking about is played in the era or the time period of the higher seed. So defensive rules may be different, offensive rules may be different. That might change the outcome of the game. If Brandon and Rod both pick the same team, my vote doesn't matter. That team moves on to the Final Four. If they both split, I become the tiebreaker, and then that's usually where the fun begins. So, gentlemen, are you ready? Brandon,
born ready. Just to focus.
Hey. I was like, what's going on with that water bottle, yo?
I'm not giving no free advertisement. They got to cut that check.
Man, I don't even know what to say looking at these. When I made the promo video for this last week, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with these, but we'll go ahead and get it started here. Starting off in the Steelers region, the one seed, the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers, 14-2 on the season. Probably the better of the four Steeler teams that won in the 70s. Taking on the 2 seed, I didn't put it up there, the 1984 San Francisco 49ers, 15-1 on the season. If you ask a 49er fan, this is the greatest 49er team in franchise history. Which one of you guys would like to take a stab at this first?
It makes no difference. Hey, look, it makes no difference to me. I'm still trying to figure out what in the world happened in the previous brackets. I mean, were the people who were deciding on the previous brackets born in the late 80s and ahead, 80s, 90s, 2000? I mean, did they not watch any football in the 80s? What's going on?
I was going to wait till we got to that region, but I was telling y'all off the air that former cornerback for the 49ers, Eric Davis, reached out to me on Instagram because he saw the promo video. And he actually does a podcast for Believe for the 49ers, and I do one for the Panthers. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, how are the Vikings still involved in this when they didn't win the Super Bowl? And I was like, they just made it this far. I mean, it is what it is. I got outvoted, but they're in here, so we're gonna talk about them.
Deserved.
It's all right. We're gonna talk about them.
I don't know about that well-deserved part, but they're there.
Well deserved,
Rod, I'm gonna let you go first here between the 1 seed Pittsburgh Steelers and the 2 seed 84 49ers. Keep in mind this game is being played in 1978.
Game's being played in 1978, but I'm gonna tell you what, the rules are really not that different when you're talking about the 49ers during this time span, the 84 49ers and the 78 Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, a lot of those rules were close together. The difference here, I think, is the 49ers, they have guys who are probably a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster than that Steelers team. Now, that Steelers team was a heck of a team. You know, they had the steel curtain. They had some heck of some guys playing. You know, Mean Joe Green was still playing on that team. They had, of course, on offense, Lynn Swann, Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, They had Ron Johnson at quarterback, Mel Blount, Donnie Shell back there at the strong safety.
Hall
These
of
guys
Famers.
had, all Hall of
Everywhere.
Famers.
Just Hall of Famers
They,
all over the place.
yeah, the defense had double-digit interceptions. They were awesome. The only problem is they'd be going against Joe Montana and Roger Craig and Dwight Clark and Earl Cooper at tight end with Freddie Solomon at the other wide receiver. And then on defense, you got hard-hitting Ronnie Lott, who could play in any era with the Steelers. Then you've also got Jim Stuckey at defensive end. You got Keena Turner at the middle linebacker. You got Jack Reynolds at the inside linebacker. Oh, my goodness. This one would be tough, but I'm going to tell you what. When Bill Walsh came along and he invented this whole, just West Coast offense, this was something new. And with this offense coming, I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 78 Steelers, would have been ready for this offense. Therefore, with that said alone, in this era, I've got to take this 1984 San Francisco 49ers over the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 28-24. That's how this game went in. So it would have been a really good game. There would have been some serious scoring going on. But then at the end, I think Joe Montana, Roger Craig, they would have really stepped up. Solomon, they would have ended this game right at the end.
I can't be mad with that. Brandon, you're up to bat, man. The one seed, the namesake of the region, the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the 84 San Francisco 49ers. What say you, my man?
Truthfully, this was tough because, in my opinion, I think the 89 team boasts more overall talent. Yeah, they lost one more game, I understand, but I think they had the more dominant playoff run. So it was hard for me to look at this 49ers team and try to move two on. But, again, with the Steelers, Hall of Fame defense, these guys were mean, they were big, they were physical. And then you got Terry Bradshaw out there throwing that pigskin. So I think it would have been a good match. But I think I got to go with the 49ers. And I think Bill Walsh, is the deciding factor. Rod mentioned it. That I think that West Coast offense is just a little too much to overcome. That's a lot of speed and a lot of misdirection to overcome. And in 1978, guys just weren't doing those type of things. So I think it comes down to the X's and O's. Got to go with the 49ers.
So we have our first entry into the greatest NFL team ever, Final Four, and it's the 1984 San Francisco 49ers. I can't be mad at that pick. 15-1. Like I said, if you ask a 49er fan, they'll tell you straight out the 84 49ers are the greatest team in 49ers history, and they will argue you down that they are the greatest team in NFL history. This was a team before Jerry Rice, before John Taylor. This, like you said, this was basically Joe Montana perfecting the West Coast offense underneath Bill Walsh. And I want to say Roger Craig, was this one of the years where he got close to the 2,000, the 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving? Was this in the same year, or did he do that in 85? I can't remember. It was somewhere right around this year when he did it.
Yeah, this year he didn't quite do 1,000. He had like 600, just under 650 yards rushing, and he had like 675 yards passing. So, Joe Montana, he passed the ball around. This is the beginning of that whole West Coast offense style. No other team in the league had really seen an offense like this before. So covering these guys was terrible for everybody, and it actually opened up and gave guys who you wouldn't think would get the ball an opportunity to catch the ball, run with it, like your Earl Cooper at tight end, your Freddie Solomon at the other wide out. These were the guys who were able to really, go get it in that West Coast offense when it first came out.
And this started a run for the NFC in the Super Bowl, because I was just thinking back, 84, the 49ers won it, 85, the Bears won it, 86, the Giants, 87, the Redskins, and on and on. And I don't think an AFC team won the Super Bowl. I'm trying to think of when the next one was. Like in the 90s? Like, was it Denver? Like late 90s? There had to be somebody before that won the AFC.
I know Denver won it in 98. I don't know about before that.
I want to say before. I
don't think so.
Early 90s. Yeah.
I don't think so.
It was all NFC.
The Bills never got it done.
Bills are there 4 straight times. So that was early 90s. And then Green Bay beat Denver. And then, Denver,
Rams
beat Atlanta. So, Rams beat the Pats. Well, that was a little bit later on. But, actually that Denver team in 97, oh, my gosh. So from 84 to 97, the NFC won That doesn't sound right.
Or I meant Rams beat the Titans. Excuse me.
Rams beat the
Right?
Titans in 99.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, and then
yeah.
Patriots in 01. And we'll see them in a little bit, too. So these 49ers moving on to the Final Four. Like I said, I can't be mad with that pick. That's actually, when we put these brackets together, I kind of thought that might be what ended up happening out of that region. But the next one, this is an interesting one because I'm not sure how this team made it this far. We might be prisoners of the moment. And when this team was picked was the week that Pat Mahomes became a half billionaire. So we probably had him on our brain. But this here in the what region went? The 49ers region, the regional final, the 1989 San Francisco 49ers, 14-2 in the season, taking on the current Super Bowl champions here in 2020, defending the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs. Brandon, I'm gonna let you go first on this one. Keep in mind, we are not playing in 2019. We are playing in 1989. So wide receivers can't get off like they do today. They can't get molested like they could in the 70s, like with the Steelers and the Raiders and them boys running around. But they can get touched going up the field in 1989. Just a different type of ball game. And this 49ers team is the squad that does have John Taylor, Jerry Rice, Roger Craig,
Tom
still
Rathman.
Running back, Tom Rathman, all these boys. So I'm
Y'all
gonna
gave
let
me
you
this
go
same
first.
y'all gave me this same type of spill when I got the Bears up out of here for the Vikings. So y'all know this does nothing to my psyche. I just want you to know.
This is one of the ones I was waiting for.
Yeah, and everybody
So,
listening,
I
I want you to know I had nothing to do with the Bears getting up out of there. I didn't even know it happened.
Rob
No
wasn't even on
idea.
that day. He didn't know. He found out the next week. He was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So
All right, it's on you, Brandon. Who you got?
I don't care what decade it is. When you got Pat Mahomes out there throwing no-looking behind-the-back passes on the football field, that's absolutely nuts. But for this sake, I think that Chiefs team was very explosive. But they can outscore anybody, but they can't really stop anybody from scoring. I think that's where the 49ers have the edge, is in the defensive side. I think this 49ers team is better than the 84 team. So that's why this decision was easy to me. Outscoring opponents 126-26 on their way to a Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? 14-2. Page 2 and ESPN.com actually ranked this team the greatest team in Super Bowl history in 2007. Just a little tidbit there.
Yeah.
In 89, Joe Montana set the record for highest passer rating at that time. So I would say that's when he really perfected that system and really got going, especially when they had a new coach coming in first year, Mr. George Seifert.
George Seifert.
Seifert. I corrected myself before
You
I
did.
did.
You corrected yourself.
Seifert. Passer rate and 70% completion. I think they're just dominant. Ronnie Lott, Bill Romanowski. You got huge offensive linemen moving these guys. Craig is still in the backfield. Jonathan Taylor, another 1,000-yard receiver on the other side. I mean, I think they're the more complete team, and that's why I got to give it to them.
So you said you were going with the 49ers?
I'm going with the Niners. And I had my mind made up before y'all tried that, so just to let you know.
Rod, what say you? The seed 49ers or the 10 seed Kansas City Chiefs?
Hey, I got to be honest with you. Before this thing started, there was one team that I had above the other team. But what has actually changed my mind is what you said at the beginning. What you said at the beginning was who has home field advantage. Because to be honest with you, hey, whatever team to me has home field advantage in this matchup, that's the team that has the edge. How do you start a Patrick Mahomes if you can't touch him? Or if you can't take 2 steps and still hit him? How do you stop a Patrick Mahomes? Back in 89, as long as you took 2 steps, you could still hit the quarterback. It was all good. You know what I mean? Now, Patrick Mahomes, he's had a little bit of injury going on. He had that whole kneecap deal happening.
Yeah, I still don't understand that.
Oh, yeah, no, not at all.
And then in place in the puddle.
Exactly. And then the receivers, the receivers can't get off the line. And now you're talking about helmet-to-helmet contact, and you got Ronnie Lott able to hit you helmet-to-helmet. I mean, these receivers may catch one ball the whole game after Ronnie Lott gets a piece of them because they're going to hear footsteps the rest of the game.
Yeah, send Tyreek Hill up the middle with Ronnie Lott roaming around out there.
See
how many times he wants to do it.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, I'm going to say he still got to catch him, fellas.
Right.
He got to catch him, but he got to have the ball in his hand he got to catch the ball first.
That's the problem. Listen, back then during those rules, it wasn't a wait till the man gets the ball. They'll hit you before the ball gets there.
No, I'm saying
so next
he still
time,
got to catch Tyreek Hill, though.
I mean, those are my favorite. Yeah. Those are my favorite highlights. The ones from like the 80s when like they're just laying out receiver. The ball ain't even there yet.
But see, that's my whole point. Des, that's my whole point. That's my whole point. Brandon's not listening to. Ronnie Lott will hit you before the ball gets there. He don't care.
He get blown by.
How you gonna get blown by when you lay it out? That's not gonna happen. I mean, it's not gonna happen.
See, I'm assuming you're picking the 49ers too.
Yeah, I got to go with the 49ers. I don't have a choice.
Wow, so I was wondering if this was gonna happen, and it actually happened in the first two picks today. The 49ers have actually put two teams in the Final Four, which I guess makes sense. The 49ers, a prestigious franchise, they've won 5 Super Bowls, so I mean, it makes sense. That they're there. Looking at this matchup, I was the same way as you, Rod. I was looking at like, okay, if Kansas City had home field,
right,
then I might actually look at Kansas City because of their speed and because of the rules.
But I would have picked Kansas City, yeah.
But this is Joe Montana in his peak. This is Jerry Rice, unguardable in '89. Like, I hated the 89 49ers. Like, they're one of those teams I hated because they did everything right. Like, they're kind of like Patriots teams in the early 2000s that we're going to talk about one of them here in just a bit, where they were so annoyingly good at their jobs. They did what they were supposed to do. And then they had guys that were, like, on top of it, the greatest at their position, some of them of all time. And you're just like, what are we supposed to do to defend this? I mean, okay, say we double Jerry Rice. You got John Taylor running down the other side on 30-yard go routes or whatever. What if we cover them both and keep them tight in like a cover 3
you still got Roger Craig coming out the backfield.
Roger Craig's coming out the backfield. He just came off of 1,000-yard rushing, 1,000-yard receiving season a year or two before this.
And then if you only want to pick up 5 yards, dump it off to Tom Rathman.
It's ridiculous. The line was good. The defense, I think, was ranked top 10. If not, I think they might have been top 5 that year.
The defense was number 3.
It was number 3 overall, so you're not really scoring a whole lot. And another thing for me is that they were defending Super Bowl champion. They won in '88, and they came back, and they weren't that good. They were like 10-6 or something, and got hot in the playoffs and won, and carried that over to this year, '89, where just nobody could mess with them. Like they just were. I was so happy that season was over because they were too good. So the 49ers move on. So the 84 49ers have moved on. The 89 49ers have moved on. So this is interesting for sure. I've run out of 49er teams. That will make Eric Davis happy that 2 of those 49er teams. Actually, I think he's on both of them. So that should make him very pleased. I'll be sure to tag him on Instagram. This one is the one that people have been talking to me about, and I don't know what to do with it here. It's the Bears regional final. The 3 seed, the 2004 New England Patriots. They're actually kind of overlooked out of all these Patriot teams that won Super Bowls. But to be honest, looking at their stats and who they had, it might be their best team in terms of what they were doing. Brady got comfortable at starting position at that point. He already had a ring underneath his belt, having defeat my Panthers the year prior. This is the Patriots team that beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, back-to-back champs. Same as the 49ers we just talked about. They won the Super Bowl the year prior, defending their crown this particular season. Taking on this 98 Minnesota Vikings team that is still lurking around, that if they had won the Super Bowl, would have been a 1 seed in this bracket or in this tournament, and there would have been no question as to why they're still in the Elite 8. But because they did not win the Super Bowl, they actually upset the Chicago Bears, the overall 1 seed in the entire tournament, and that's caused more questions than anything else. And actually, my man over. Oh, I keep pointing the wrong way. Oh, there we go. That way. My man over here in the middle was a part of that debauchery. So I'm gonna let Rod go first on this one. 2004 New England Patriots versus the 98 Minnesota Vikings. It's being played in 2004, although I don't think there's too much of a difference between 98 and 04 in terms of rules or whatnot. It's pretty much relatively the same. Rod, who do you got between the 04 Patriots and the 98 Minnesota Vikings?
I got to be honest with you. I told you from the beginning, I don't understand how any team can get so far without winning the Super Bowl. The 1998 Minnesota Vikings, yep, they had Randy Moss. They had a great crew. They had a great team. And they did their thing during that era, but they couldn't win the dance when it counted. And to me, that makes a big difference to be the greatest of all times. Now you look on the other side, you've got Tom Brady. You've also got Bill Belichick, who are the two best to ever do it in the history of football. How do you go against those two? I'm not even going to, mention Charlie Wise at offensive coordinator. I'm not going to mention Romeo Crennel at the defensive coordinator during that time. I'm just going to say, hey, the New England Patriots are hard to go against when it's Bill Belichick, who's won a Super Bowl with this team, and you're playing a Minnesota Vikings team that did not win a Super Bowl. Therefore, my vote all day. And I hate the New England Patriots. I hate them. I don't like them. But I have to go with the 2004 New England Patriots in this deal.
Brandon, you're part of the reason why the Vikings are even here. So I'm curious to see what happens here in this one. Who do you got between the 04 Patriots and the Minnesota Vikings?
We all know the Vikings are going home. Even if I took the Vikings right now, we know the side.
You don't know. You don't know. You don't know.
You might make a heck of an argument, Brandon.
You don't know.
I'm not wasting my breath telling you that Ty Law wouldn't be able to hold Randy Moss's jockstrap. I'm not going to waste your time telling you Troy Brown probably would have got knocked out of the game. I'm not going to tell you that Asante Samuel and Randall Gay had nothing for Chris Carter. I'm not going to tell you that they was going to stop the run. I'm not going to tell you any of that. I'm going to just say that this Patriots team was very, very good. I think one player that gets overlooked is Corey Dillon, who had 1,400 yards that year.
Yeah.
Great, probably the best running back Tom Brady's ever played with up until that point. Teddy Bruschi, first team, Richard Seymour. I love Rodney Harrison on that team, cracking heads. You don't want to come across the middle with that guy. So I'm comfortable taking the Patriots. I think they played a similar built team in a way when they beat the Eagles. And, T.O. is also a big physical receiver as well. Not quite the same speed as, Randy Moss to deal with, but still a tall, big physical receiver. So we kind of saw it. He had a great game, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Patriots. Super Bowl champion, since, you need one to be great.
Now,
even if it's an extra point,
I was going to say you were making very good points, because if you really sit back and look at it, Minnesota's got two Hall of Famer wide receivers on the outside.
For the Patriots. It's a terrible
matchup. It kind of is. But now, the Patriots front seven on the Patriots, though, I mean, you're talking about Vince Wilfork and you name some of them.
Richard
Teddy
Seymour,
Bruschi, Richard Seymour. Yeah, and them dudes are still in their prime. Like, these Patriot teams, the 03 Patriots, the 04 Patriots, they were defense dominated. And Tom Brady was really just a game manager. I mean, he didn't make any mistakes. And the defense just kind of pummeled you. And the 04 Patriots defense is probably, I haven't went back to look, but I think I looked it up previously. They're one of the better defenses, if not the best defense that Bill Belichick has had in New England from beginning of the season to the end of the season. If there was a defense that could contain or just rattle Minnesota to kind of get them off their game, because Minnesota was really, they weren't even like timing. Like the Rams, the 99 Rams we're going to talk about in a second, they were kind of timing, getting stuff off in 3 seconds, that kind of thing. The Vikings weren't really like that. The Vikings just overwhelmed you with speed and like talent and a guy that was unguardable in Randy Moss that the league had never seen before. It was his rookie year. Like, nobody knew what to do with him. And I keep seeing these images of him on Thanksgiving embarrassing the Cowboys while I'm sitting here trying to eat a plate of food. And my man has like 3 catches for like 180 some yards and 3 touchdowns, and it was just 3 bombs. Yeah. That was all he did. It was just 3 bombs.
And you got the Patriots backup secondary, the replacement secondary, as they were called.
Troy Brown's back there. Yeah.
All those guys got hurt. Ty Law, Tyrone Poole.
Yeah,
they don't even have their starting corners.
Yeah, my Tyrone Poole's my co-host on the Believe in Panthers podcast, and we talked about those 2 years he was with the Patriots. He was a starter in 03 when he had to play against the Panthers team that drafted him. And then, this following year, he was out with injury by that point, and Ty Law was out with injury too, so Troy Brown was back there. But the Patriots always found a way to win, and I remember the way these Vikings lost. The way they lost in the end was their kicker missed a field goal, and he hadn't missed one the whole season. These Patriots are well known. Yeah, and these Patriots are known for what? Winning games at the end on a field goal from Adam Vinatieri. Tom Brady gets them down to like the 40 on a couple of passes. You're like, what the hell is the defense doing? And then Vinatieri comes out, kicks a 47-yarder, game, set, match. The Patriots are world champions. And like they did it like 2-3 times the exact same way. And you're just like, man, if they're going to win like that, it's hard to pick against them with what they had going. So I would have picked the Patriots as well.
I know. I know.
I will say, out of all the at-large teams that were in here, the Vikings, the '98 Vikings, were the one team I was like, they are going to cause trouble. Like, just looking at what's around them and what they are, until they start getting around this round, I was like, they're going to cause some trouble. I didn't think they were going to pass the Bears, but they did. And they caused all kinds of havoc in the bracket.
Yeah,
I'm
still dumbfounded by that.
I mean, at the time when Brandon and Aaron were making this argument for him, it made sense. They were like, the Vikings.
I'm sorry, the 85 Bears were the number one. The 85 Bears were the number one seed. There were different rules during that time. You can lay speed out all you want. Randy Moss would have got broken up. He would have played one quarter, and he would have had real problems.
I'm pretty sure I said that.
He would have had real problems the rest of the game.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned that they were going to hurt Randy Moss in that game, and it didn't matter.
They would have crushed him.
They're gone, fellas.
They would have crushed
Randy
him.
Moss is not going to make it to the end of this game, and y'all still picking
not
the
at all.
They were like, yeah,
not at all.
It is.
And Chris Carter would have been blocking with alligator arms when he got out there.
It sounds good.
Well, they sitting on the sideline now, and the Bears got put out because of it. This is tough. This is a tough one too. It's the Cowboys regional final. The number one seed, the 1992 Dallas Cowboys, 13-3 on that season. Lost the first 2 games because Emmett was out on a holdout. Came back, went 13-1 the rest of the way,
and still won the Russian title.
And still won the Russian title on 14 games, not 16. Taking on the 1999 greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams. I ain't even got to say anything. I'm just going to I want to see what happens. So, Rod, I'm going to let you go first on this. Who you got between the 92 Cowboys and the 99 St. Louis Rams? And we all know
all right.
I'm a Cowboy fan, but I don't know what's going to happen.
So, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I can run the roster down on both sides, and it's really an even matchup. At quarterback for the Cowboys, you got Troy Aikman, running back, Emmitt Smith, who won the title that year. You got Moose Johnson blocking for him. You got Alvin Harper on the edge. You got the playmaker, Michael Irvin on the edge. You got Jay Novacek at tight end. You got Mark Tuinei at the left tackle, Nate Newton at left guard, Mark Stepnowski at center. You got John Gressick at right guard, and then you got Eric Williams at the right tackle. So a hell of a line that allowed Emmitt Smith to get that daggone Russian title. Now, let's talk about that defense. Tony Tolbert on the defensive end. Tony Casillas in the middle. Russell Maryland in the middle. Charles Haley, who's won Super Bowls with the 49ers. Then you got Vincent Smith at the linebacker. You got Ken Norton Jr. at the linebacker. Then go to the DBs. You got Isaac Hope at corner. You got Larry Brown at corner, who had, 3 or 4 interceptions that year? Thomas Everett at the safety. And then James Washington at the free safety. Now, let's move over to the Rams. They got a heck of a team, too. Quarterback, you got Kurt Warner. Marshall Faulk. He had 1,300 yards rushing that year. Emmitt Smith had 1,700, but Marshall Faulk did have 1,300. Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt on the edges. Then you got Jeff Robinson at tight end. Then you had Roland Williams, who would come in at times from tight end. Then on their defense, you had Kevin Carter, Ray Agnew, which Ray Agnew's a hometown boy. I like old Ray.
Sir. Yeah.
Then you got Mike Jones. You got London Fletcher at linebacker. You got Billy Jenkins at the strong safety. Keith Lau at free safety. This was really an even matchup, guys, as far as the folks on the field. To me, what this came down to is coaching. You got Dick Vermeil versus Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson won in Miami. Most people, coaches who win on the college level and win championships, they can't translate that over into the pros and come in and win in the pros. Jimmy Johnson was able to do that. He did it for the Miami Hurricanes. He won there. He came into the pros, got rid of the big-time running back Herschel Walker, built a brand-new team. Everybody was like, what in the heck is he doing? Jimmy Johnson, when it's time to come in, form a defense, form a game plan, Jimmy Johnson used to always talk about situational football. In certain situations, we're going to practice this. 3rd and 3 on the goal line. 4th and 2 on the goal line. We practice certain situations. So when it comes down to situational football, I put my trust in Jimmy Johnson over Dick Vermeil. Nothing against Dick. I like Dick. But Jimmy Johnson has always won when it counts, not only on the pro level, but on the college level as well. Therefore, like I said, the teams are even, but mine comes down to coaching. And Jimmy Johnson gets just a slight nudge over Dick Vermeil in this game here.
So one vote for the Cowboys. Brandon, you're up. Who you got? Cowboys regional final. 92 Cowboys taking on the 99 St. Louis Rams for the right to go to the Final Four.
This is a very tough matchup. Two great teams, top to bottom. I think I have to give the edge to the Cowboys though for two reasons. One, the coaching, but two, I think they would have had the depth to keep up with the Rams. I think they could have worn down. And this Cowboys was a resurgent defense, doomsday part. A really good mix of youth as well as veterans. 25 and a half years old was the average age of this group. You got Charles Haley, Thomas Everett out there. Darren Woodson's on this team. I think that they had enough bodies to really – yeah, same. And just does it all, just a true DB. Emmitt Smith, of course. I think the offenses are pretty dead evenly matched, but I got to give the edge defensively to the Cowboys. One of the more underappreciated defenses of all time, if you want to be honest. Statistically, they're an elite company. I think you have to give the edge to them. Jimmy Johnson, like Pete Carroll, a guy that won in college, came to the NFL, did his thing, had that swagger. The Cowboys had that swagger. And there's really not a real weakness about this team that you can dissect. So, love the show, greatest show on turf, but I got to go with the Cowboys. My bad.
Really?
So the Cowboys,
really,
the Cowboys are gonna move on. I didn't even get. So this is the first time this has happened. I did not get a single vote in this round. Both you guys selected unanimously all four of the games. That's the first time that's happened in this entire tournament over the 3 months.
Oh, really?
We've been doing this.
Cool.
Yeah, like there hasn't been one round where I haven't had to make any picks, and for some reason in the Elite Eight, you guys took care of business. I would be amiss if I did not say those 99 Rams would have gave the Cowboys a run for their money. Like, they had the number one defense that season too. And I don't know what Dallas would have done to game plan for Marshall Faulk. Like, I just don't know because you couldn't game plan for him. Like, in this season, there is a play, I think they're playing Cleveland, where Marshall starts running up the middle of the line, and literally, 9 dudes have a chance to tackle him in this play, and no one is blocking for the Rams. And he's literally just kind of sidestepping people and moving back and going forward, and he kind of hits a crease, and he just takes off, doesn't get touched, and
he's
no
like
one
Barry
blocks
Sanders.
Anybody. Yeah, and he was Barry Sanders that could catch the ball, the way I look at him. Marshall Faulk is probably a top 5 running back in my life. I've always had Bo Jackson as number 1 to me in terms of what I've seen with my own eyes at running back. But then Walter Payton, Marshall Faulk, those guys are right there. I love Emmitt Smith, but to Rod's point, Emmitt Smith was running behind possibly the greatest offensive line ever assembled.
I think that was the best offensive line ever, and Emmitt could hide behind that line. I saw Emmitt many times hiding behind those guys and then just dart out somewhere.
Yeah. He just waited for holes.
You can't even see him. Yeah.
And you talking about guys like Eric Williams, Larry Allen. These dudes, Nate Newton, they're just massive dudes. Most of these guys weren't even highly drafted guys. They were Mark Stepnoski and those dudes. Yeah. They were just.
But that goes back to Jimmy Johnson, who was also the director of player personnel during this time. And that goes back to
ask Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones was doing the marketing, so he didn't lose all his oil money that he made. So he needed to step away to get that oil money back. But then once he realized that he had something in place, Jimmy Johnson was doing it. Then all of a sudden, old Jerry Jones takes over, and the Cowboys hadn't been the same since.
Hey, what you doing over there? Hey, I'm running this team, not you. Get out of here. These are mine. So. And we see what happened, but
exactly.
Look, so the Final Four is set. I hate that. Well, my Rams got about as far as, and they were seeded number 2 in the region. They got to the Elite Eight, so I'm all right with them.
The Rams was a good team, and some people still argue. I got a buddy who lives in Texas and argues. He's a huge Tennessee Titan fan. He argues that an extra second went off the clock that wasn't supposed to go off the clock, and that's the only reason that the Rams won. That's what he tells me every time I talk to him.
I'll be honest, man. I don't even remember. I was drunk at a frat party during that Super Bowl, like when it happened, and like everybody was yelling at me because I was out talking to some girl or something and missed the end of the game. They're like, "You just missed the most exciting
it was
Super
a
Bowl
great
ever."
game. Yeah,
So
it was a great game.
I think we lost Brandon. He said his phone was about to go, but he got through. He got his pick in, so that was good.
No doubt.
So the Final Four is set. We've got the 1992 Dallas Cowboys taking on the 1984 San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, wow.
In one bracket.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in the other bracket, you've got the 1989 San Francisco 49ers taking on the 2004 New England Patriots.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So you got Joe Montana versus Tom Brady, Bill Belichick versus, well, it'd be George Seifert, but basically Bill Walsh's team.
Yeah.
So Bill Belichick's having to scheme, how do you stop this 89 49ers team against this, and then on the other side, the 92 Cowboys, like you said, Jimmy Johnson taking on the 84 49ers. So it's going to be interesting for sure. That'll be a separate show, so we'll do that one on a separate occasion, man. Just good seeing y'all, man. I haven't seen y'all in a couple weeks. I know everybody's been busy doing stuff, and
has been a while, man. Trying to stay away from that COVID-19.
Man, I gotta stay away from that Rona, man. It's getting kind of crazy out here in terms of cases and stuff. Everybody, keep your hands washed. Practice social distancing. Wear a mask. Wear a damn mask wherever you are.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to wear it, just wear it so we can get out of this.
And don't be afraid to tell people to back up if they get too close to you. Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, man, back up."
I've done it in food lines. Like, hey, what you doing? Back up, back up. But please wear masks so we can have football this year, because that's basically what's going to come down to. America, if y'all want football this year, just wear a mask. Wear a mask when you go out and when you come home, and hopefully we can get this straightened out. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen with it. So Final Four set, 92 Cowboys versus the 84 49ers, 89 49ers versus the 04 Patriots. For Brandon Blakney, who had to get out of here, for Rod Funderburk, I'm Desmond Johnson. This has been the Rundown's presentation of the greatest NFL team ever tournament. We are in the Final Four. One episode left to go. Who's the greatest team ever? We'll decide next episode. Base.
Hey there, this is Rod Funderburk, and you've been watching an episode of The Rundown with Desmond Johnson. In order to watch more episodes of The Rundown with Desmond Johnson, please subscribe to Sports Carolina Monthly's YouTube channel.